Merry Crimbus. Man, watching this movie makes me want to drink booze and just hide it all over the house.
Mm-hmm.
What if we just had, like, bathroom bourbon?
Yeah, that's alcoholism.
Oh, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Let me take a sip of this. Speaking of alcoholism.
Speaking of drinking a lot, we have these wonderful Moscow Mules. That's
Moscow
it.
Mules.
We even bought the cups, and we're both not holding the handle right now. That's really funny.
It's a little too skinny. Don't you think?
Hold on, let's take a picture of them. Post a picture of them while we...
Okay.
So yeah, fun fact, we're recording this on the 46th anniversary of the movie. And sneezing.
I'm sorry.
On the 46th anniversary of the movie. Hey there, slashers, college kids, pianists, and house mothers.
This is episode 29 of What Happens in the Crypt.
Today, we're hiding alcohol all over the house like Mrs. Mac, and we're talking about the 1974 original slasher movie, Black Christmas. Toilet booze is best booze. It's genius. Nobody would look for it. You just go into the bathroom to get away from everybody, you know? And just take a little sip.
I mean, if we lived in a sorority, then yes. We would never live in a sorority.
I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be sorority if I was there.
Yeah, and my words are incorrect.
You're doing your best. Trigger warnings for this episode include intense violence, disturbing imagery, disturbing language.
There's discussion of abortion.
Yes. Although no imagery or anything.
No, but I still think it's important
of it, yeah.
to mention.
Mm-hmm. As winter begins, a group of sorority sisters begin to receive anonymous, disturbing phone calls. One of the girls goes missing from the sorority house, and a local adolescent girl is murdered, leading the girls to suspect a serial killer is on the loose. But no one realizes just how near the culprit is.
So the most popular tagline for this movie, which you have to know what the movie poster looks like, which is the girl with the plastic bag on her face, is the main movie poster. It's her sitting in the chair, like surrounded by Christmas lights. And the tagline is, if this picture doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight.
Oh my gosh, I like that though.
It's gross.
Yeah.
It's really gross. Another tagline is the sort of Christmas you don't dream of. And the last one that I thought was a little weird.
Oh my god, I just read it.
Is Christmas is coming early this year, and it's murder.
That one doesn't even really make sense.
No, like,
That's
and
funny,
it's jolly is how I read it.
know.
Like,
the original title of this film script was Stop Me.
Who is this? What do you want? Why are you doing this?
It was director Bob Clark who came up with the title Black Christmas, saying that he liked the irony of something dark occurring during such a festive holiday. The title is also a tongue-in-cheek reference to the Christmas song and 1954 film White Christmas. Legend has it that this was Elvis Presley's favorite horror movie, and his tradition was to watch it every Christmas.
I mean, we're kind of like Elvis. This is our tradition now, too. It's the only way that we are like Elvis.
I like peanut butter and banana.
Does that have something to do with Elvis?
Yes, that's his favorite sandwich.
I guess I don't have a clear list of Elvis's favorite things in front of me.
I don't either. That's just something I know. Because there's also, like, there's an ice cream place by us, and it's called the Elvis, and it's peanut butter banana ice cream. It's very good.
Wow.
And you don't know, I might die on a toilet, just like him.
Jesus Christ.
Sadly, though, if this is true, Elvis would only have watched it 3 times, because unfortunately he passed away in 1977, unless you believe that he's still alive to this day.
No conspiracies. No. Different podcast.
Same podcast.
No.
Same podcast. I did the one about Jared Leto. Go listen to that if you haven't yet. But I did the cult one. I
Yeah.
could do Elvis Presley conspiracy theories.
Oh, no. The movie starts with a point of view shot of someone climbing the exterior of this house where there's a Christmas party happening inside.
And I mean, a shot like this would have been crazy for the time because POV wasn't like huge at the time.
Right? It's not like there's like a GoPro.
Yeah, there's not a GoPro you could strap to your
Yeah.
chest. It was a bit more difficult back then, which made it feel even creepier.
It is definitely really spooky, all of it. All of the point of view shots throughout the whole movie.
I always forget how this movie is shot just because we don't watch it as much as like Halloween.
Yeah, because
But
this
then-
is much more of a holiday movie for
But you
us.
watch this and you're like, oh yeah, that's where they got the idea for Halloween. It's just like it.
Inside the house, the phone rings and we meet Jess, who's one of the main characters. And she answers it to this really disgusting person, like saying like really like obscene things. Like, I don't know exactly. Like,
I don't think we need to repeat
yeah.
it.
It's like all vulgar sexual shit that's really gross. And it's in like a weird high pitched voice.
And I feel like this person it's more than one voice, and sometimes it's just gibberish, and sometimes it's super vulgar. It's literally insane.
Yeah, and she makes the comment like it's that guy calling again, and so like obviously this is an issue. Man, can you imagine living before caller ID?
Jess calls the other sorority girls over, and they listen to the callers, rants, strange voices and sounds.
Barb, who's played by Margot Kidder, ends up talking to the dude, and she's like, that's that line where she's like, why don't you stick your tongue in a light socket if you want to charge?
Oh,
Just
yeah,
like,
that's a
yeah.
good line.
It's-
She's my favorite character.
Yeah, she's great in this. But then very terrifyingly, he says, I'm going to kill you, and he hangs up.
Yeah, because it goes from just like gibberish, nonsense, weird voices to just almost like Scream, where he's just like, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, like deadpan. It's very spooky.
Hey, quiet! It's him again! The Mona!
Oh, why don't you go find a wall socket and stick your tongue in it? That'll give you a charge.
I'm going to kill you.
One of the other girls, Claire, suggests that maybe they should take it seriously and maybe they could be in some kind of danger.
And the movie follows her going upstairs as she's getting some stuff together. It looks like she's packing. Some of the girls are talking about going skiing. Some of them are going home to see family for the holiday. And we get another one of those like killer point of view shots, and we can see that he's in her closet.
And this leads to the most iconic shot of the whole film, where he suffocates her with a plastic bag. It's like a dress bag.
Yeah, it's like a garment bag like
Yeah.
you take to like the dry cleaner.
And then he moves her body into the attic and he's just like puts it in a chair.
Which is terrifying too, because as you see throughout the movie, she's like pretty visible from the street.
Yeah.
Like you can see that someone's sitting at that window.
Although it is like an attic window, so it's like, and this place is huge, so it's like the 4th floor.
Yeah, you'd have to look really hard.
You'd have
but-
to look really hard from the street. The following morning, the girls still don't really know anything is wrong.
I don't even think they know that she's missing or didn't go where she was supposed to go. Like there's no, where's Claire or anything really going on at this point.
No, yeah, but it's when her dad shows up to pick her up that they're kind of like, well, you know, she was in class and then she could be somewhere else. She could be with this person. She could be with that person. But it's at this point that her dad is obviously worried.
Right. And he also tries to report her as missing, and then he finds out at the police station that there's another girl that who vanished walking home from school. So Claire is not the only one.
It's at the same time that Jess is talking to her boyfriend Peter, and she tells him that she is pregnant.
He's such a douche.
He is such a douche
That's
canoe.
like piano douche. Which we'll talk about this a little bit later, but a lot of people refer to this movie as like a very feminist horror movie because like they were talking about abortion and that she was going to do it, and it was her body and it was her choice and all of this. And in the 70s, that wasn't very commonplace, but the director had said it was just like another plot to have within the story so that they had something to shoot that was not murders.
Yeah, it was almost like an afterthought.
It had nothing to do with making a statement or anything like that.
He was like, yeah, this is a situation that can happen. I'm not going to think about it again.
It was like, this creates a little bit of motive that like maybe the boyfriend is a part of this.
Miss McHenry, the house mother, and Barb have a habit of drinking throughout the movie.
Overindulging.
Overindulging is a good way to put it. And Barb has a few too many, and she's put to bed, while the other characters go to search for their missing friend and the other missing local. We just keep saying like young girl or young local girl because they don't say her name. I don't think so.
Right, but like the whole community is like forming like a search party, and they leave to go join. Miss McHenry, the den mother, stays behind, and she's looking around, and at the same point she also can't find the cat. They have a cat I can't remember the cat's name.
I can't remember. It's this big white fluffy cat.
Yeah,
it's actually pretty cute.
Figaro.
Maybe. I don't actually know. But she does find several bottles of I keep saying schnapps, but
it's sherry.
Sherry.
Yeah.
She has like pints of sherry all over the place.
She's the comic relief character.
Yeah.
She has like a bunch in her purse.
A hollowed out book.
Yeah, the book. It's
the
in
toilet.
the back of the toilet.
It's everywhere. It's pretty funny, but also sad, but also funny.
We're gonna say it's funny.
It's supposed to be funny.
Yeah. But as she's looking for the cat and kind of looking around the house, she hears a noise up in the attic, and she's like, how did that cat get up there? And when she climbs up the stairs, she looks around and she sees Claire's body up against the window with the bag still on her head.
And this is actually one of my favorite kills in the whole movie because she's like, gasping. And then the killer throws this hook like that's attached to the ceiling. I'm assuming it's like a pulley system for bringing things into the attic.
That's what I thought too.
That are really heavy. And it just, you don't see it happen, but it like hits her.
Hooks her.
And then her body's like dragged up.
Mm-hmm. So you see like her feet like
dangling,
flailing. Yeah.
In the park, they find the missing young girl's disfigured body.
With the search party ended, as soon as Jess walks in the front door, the phone rings again. And of course, it's the voice saying things to her. And this time she actually takes it a little bit more seriously and gets a little freaked out. So she decides to file a police report.
And then her weird boyfriend shows back up.
Piano douche.
Peter, whatever. I guess we'll say his name. And he's just like, let's get married. And it's just like, dude, that's obviously not what she wants.
Right. That's what people did back in the day, though.
She just wants to be her own thing. She's going to college. She's
an independent woman who don't need no man.
Baby.
Or piano douche.
It's at this point the police are, they just found a body, so they're taking things very seriously. And they put a bug on the phone, the tap.
After the police put the bug on the phone, Jess is just kind of like frazzled, walking around, and some Christmas carolers show up at her door. So, of course, like, she just had this whole altercation with her boyfriend. Her sorority sister's missing, so she goes outside to listen to the carolers.
It's at this point when the killer sneaks into Barb's room, and, she's passed out drunk, so she ain't waking up easy. And he grabs her... It's a glass unicorn.
Yeah, she has a bunch of glass figurines.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah.
But, common. But I could imagine a bunch of my mom's friends having.
Like glass animal figurines.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a weird thing. Especially around that time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Even your mom, when we were there yesterday, was talking about her princess cut crystal stuff.
Her crystal dish serving ware.
But Barb's whole murder is pretty intense. It's also like the thing about this movie that I think makes it so iconic is how unique all of the deaths are, all of the murders. They're not like over.
He's not just going around with a knife.
Yeah, and
or
it's not
gun.
over the top, but it's like everything is because of like circumstantial. Like this is what happened to be in the room.
Yeah. because it's like this killer, he knew about this house, all the sorority sisters, but he didn't have like a plan, I don't think. He was like, I'm gonna call him, but
right.
He didn't have anything. He didn't even come with a knife. Like, he didn't have
he just
weapons.
like broke in.
This is when Jess gets another phone call from this mystery person, but this time he restates part of the argument she just had with Peter, which is even creepier, and you're like, oh, he's in the house.
But even here, I don't think she realizes that he's in the house. She just doesn't know how he knows this. And this is also what makes you lean towards that maybe it is her boyfriend.
Yeah. And it's at this point, like, the police are getting frustrated. These calls aren't long enough, and because they need a certain, like, length to be traced, and it's just not long enough.
All the scenes where they show the guy running around, like, the telephone place. What is that even called?
A call center? I don't really know.
It's wild. It's like, I know that's what it used to look like.
Yeah, it's all those whirring, giant, tall...
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah, super weird.
Pretty much as soon as Jess gets off the phone with the police, the creepy dude calls again, and this time he's talking about 2 children named Agnes and Billy.
Super weird.
And she kind of doesn't engage this time and lets it keep going, but he's doing all of these different voices. He's saying, like, don't do that. Like, it's very creepy. You'll have to put some audio in.
Yeah.
But this ends up being long enough for the police to trace the call.
And to everybody's shock and horror, they're like, oh, the
call is coming from inside the house.
Yep. Get out of there immediately.
Please, Miss Bradford, please just do as I tell you.
Okay.
I'll get Phil and Bob.
No, don't do that, Jess. Yes, the caller is in the house.
The calls are coming from the house.
Jess!
Jess, get out! And don't go up there. Don't go upstairs, Jess. Miss Bradford! Miss Bradford!
Jess, of course, wants to, like, get out of there, but she wants to make sure Barb and Phyllis, one of the other girls, are okay before she leaves, because obviously, there's some horrifying man inside the house.
Turns out, though, they're not okay. Nope.
So she finds Barb's and Phyllis's bodies, and it's at this point that he appears and starts to chase her, and she locks herself in the cellar, like in an attempt to get away.
And one thing this movie does so well is because, so she's locking herself in the cellar, and then Peter shows up. And he's just like, what's happening? And he breaks through the window to get to her.
Yeah, he's like at the attic window, or
basement.
the basement, the basement window. So he's like crouching down because those windows are really little. Yeah. It's really creepy.
And you're still like, oh, is he the killer?
Yeah, you still
don't know. I think he's
the
killer. I think it's him. The police arrive and hear Jess screaming.
They end up getting into the basement and find her barely conscious, and Peter's body is next to her because in some sort of panicked freak out moment, she ends up stabbing him. And
then maybe the worst police move I've ever seen.
Yeah, this is horrible. The whole ending of this movie is the worst.
They put her in a bedroom, unaware that there's just bodies all over the place. And
she's like in shock, and she's awake, but she's not talking. And yeah.
They just leave her in the house to rest with a cop outside.
Mm-hmm. And like the creepiest ending ever is the police all leave.
Except for one.
There's like one guy outside, and then you just hear the phone ringing, and she's inside alone.
I'm pretty sure
we never know.
You don't know though, and that's another thing I really like about this movie.
Ending gives me chills, though.
It's so creepy.
The 2 main actresses in this movie were Margot Kidder, who played Barb, and then Olivia Hussey, who played Jess. So I just wanted to go in a little bit about Margot Kidder because she's a cool lady, and R.I.P. as well. Margot was very involved in environmental causes, and she, in the 70s, was like very against like nuclear war, very much like a voice for those things. But more so in the early 2000s, she was a huge voice for LGBTQ plus rights, as well as being someone that spoke a lot about her mental illness. She had a very public nervous breakdown in 1996, and she spoke out a lot about that. And in 2001, she was awarded the Courage in Mental Health Award from the California Women's Mental Health Policy Council, a lot of words, for her public dialogue on mental illness. She was truly an amazing advocate for the environment, women, mental health, and she had a really tough life that I don't feel like we need to go into, but she's definitely someone to look into as far as like her accomplishments. Yeah, her accomplishments are amazing, but she also had a lot of struggles.
After her death, Kidder's close friend, director Ted Chigohigan, stated, Margot lived at the foot of Canyon Mountain, right outside of Livingston. Like much of Montana, the mountain was filled with wolves. But instead of fearing them, Margot loved them. She left meat out for the wolves so she could watch them come down the mountain and eat from the safety of her home. She asked her closest friends if they stopped by her place and found her dead, to tell no one, place her naked body in a bedsheet, drag it up Canyon Mountain, and leave her for her other friends, the wolves.
I love it.
It's a very good quote.
See, it got you too a little bit, didn't it? It's so good. Ugh, she was just amazing. I find her so intriguing.
She passed away very recently in 2018, and she passed away right before a few friends and I were actually supposed to meet her at the Motor City Comic-Con. She's been in a lot.
Yeah.
And they actually did a huge, like, floral arrangement and just left a spot for her in, like, honor of her.
Yeah. Just a very cool lady who is very upfront about her struggles and definitely important. Olivia Hussey plays Jess. She's a Golden Globe winner for Romeo and Juliet, and she accepted the role in this movie after being told by a psychic she'd make a film in Canada that would earn a great deal of money. Super weird. But I immediately recognized her because she plays the girlfriend in the It miniseries with Tim Curry.
Girlfriend?
Of the main guy, whose name I can't remember, and I meant to look it up. But she's in that.
Reportedly, writer Roy Moore took inspiration from the story from an actual series of murders that took place in Montreal, Quebec, around the Christmas season, along with the urban legend, The Babysitter and the Man Upstairs. According to director Bob Clark, the original script for the film featured murder scenes that were more graphic. Clark, however, felt that it would be more effective if the murders were toned down and kept subtle on screen. Writer Roy Moore liked the idea as well.
This movie also has a really weird connection to Ted Bundy. So NBC had scheduled to put this movie on in January of 1978 under the title Stranger in the House, which is also weird that like the U.S. changed the name of this more than once.
It happens a lot.
Okay, I guess.
Because they're just like, more people will watch it if it's under this title.
However, 2 weeks before they were going to air this, 2 female students at Florida State University were murdered by an assailant who broke into the sorority house where they lived. So, with this being so close to the plot line of Black Christmas and so close to the actual deaths of these poor girls, people asked NBC not to show this movie. But we found out later that this was actually Ted Bundy. The audio for the actual phone calls was edited into post-production, but while they shot the footage of the girls actually talking on the phone, it was just the director, Bob Clark, off camera, and I guess what he was saying to them was very tame in comparison to what actually ends up in the movie.
Scenes in the film involving POV shots of Billy scaling the house were accomplished through the use of a rig designed by camera operator Burt Dunk, which was attached to Dunk's head as he climbed up the side of the house. So he's actually climbing the house for real, and he's just got a camera strapped to his head. He's probably so
heavy.
Oh, definitely.
They're so big.
Cameras in the 70s were massive compared to today. Mm-hmm. And that's actually another kind of fun fact of this movie is, like, there was no actor for the serial killer. It's just random people.
Right.
And it was just crew members.
Because you never see him, so it doesn't matter.
Him, yeah. So it's like, okay, for this shot, it's this camera guy. For this shot, it's another camera guy.
It's probably because their necks kept getting sore, so no one wanted to keep doing it.
Shots of Claire's corpse in the rocking chair required the actress to wear an actual plastic bag over her head for extended periods of time.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because it's tight.
Oh, nowadays, they would not let that
Yeah.
shit fly. She went on to say, the scenes came relatively easy for her. She's quoted as saying, I was actually, and still am, a fairly good swimmer, so I could hold my breath for a long time, and I could also keep my eyes open for a long time without blinking. Just a little creepy.
It's so weird.
It's so weird.
I wonder how they like put out the casting call for that. Like, must be able to hold your breath for 3 minutes.
I doubt it was even brought up. They were just kind of like, hey, could you do this? And she was like, oh yeah, that's fine.
I'm a swimmer.
That's so weird.
really
Nowadays, they would never let that happen. It would have to be like a mesh or like pump oxygen through the bottom of the bag or something like that.
Bob Clark said that there are 3 voices used for the frightening phone calls, one of which is actor Nick Mancuso. There's an unnamed actress and also Bob Clark himself. And then Nick Mancuso reprised his role as Billy in an audio commentary as his character for the 40th anniversary Blu-ray release of this movie, which we definitely should get. So that means that like he talks about it in the Billy voice, which I'm very curious about.
Yeah, now I want to buy that.
Carl Zitra was the composer for the movie, and he has said that he created the mysterious music by using forks, combs, and knives, and tying them onto the strings of the piano to warp the sound. And he also said he would distort it further by recording its sound onto an audio tape and then making it slower. The music's weird, yeah.
The music's
it's cool.
Weird. It's very ominous, creepy.
Yeah.
But that makes sense, because if you tied stuff, if things are touching the strings of the piano, they wouldn't be able to vibrate as much, so it would sound off. It'd be very distorted, especially if you're playing it through a tape and slowing it. Although most people say this was the first slasher and the first time you see a killer's POV, the original was Peeping Tom in 1960.
Which we should watch. I've never seen that.
I've actually also never seen that. Black Christmas is, however, the first seasonal horror movie, followed by Halloween. This movie was actually not a built set. It was a real house that still stands. It still exists.
In Toronto, and you can definitely drive to it.
That's only 4 hours from us.
Yeah. Well, we're technically not allowed to leave the country.
Technically, we can't go to Canada. but we should go.
That'd be cool.
A novelization of the film, written by Lee Hayes, was published in 1976. This happened a lot with 70s and 80s horror movies. They would just turn them into books.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't happen as frequently these days.
Now it's the other way around.
Now it's a book and then they just
it's a book and then it's a movie. Yeah.
They also did this with Halloween, as I'm pretty sure I said in the Halloween episode, but these books are so expensive. I want them so bad.
Oh, really? I've never looked into that before.
The Halloween one, the only copy I could find was like $200.
Jesus Christ.
Because it's a movie first and then it gets turned into a book. So they don't sell a lot of copies. And that's the problem, is that they just didn't print a lot of them.
Right.
But now it's like, oh, I loved it, so let me just get it. Because
yeah,
you just
people
can't find them.
collect this stuff now. Yeah. The film managed to gross over $4 million with a budget of about $620,000.
It was crazy because we're talking about it now as it's like, this is one of the best slasher movies ever. It's one of the first. It did so much new. It brought so much new to the horror genre, but at the time, it got really mixed reviews. And some people thought it was a bad movie. The New York Times called this movie a whodunit that raises the question as to why was it made, giving it a 1.5 out of 4.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, because this is such a classic, but at the time, this would have been like a weird movie.
Right.
There was nothing like this coming out. Variety called the film a bloody, senseless, kill-for-kicks feature that exploits unnecessary violence in a university sorority house operated by an implausibly alcoholic ex-hoofer.
What is a hoofer?
I don't know. Its slow-paced, murky tale involves an obscene telephone caller who apparently delights in killing the girls off one by one.
Just so you know, a hoofer is a professional tap dancer. It's an ex-hoofer. Oh. Alcoholic ex-hoofer. So she was a dancer. Yes, it's just really weird.
Oh, that is so weird. I've never heard that term before.
The definition is a professional dancer, especially a tap dancer. A hoofer.
Especially?
Especially.
Calling you out, tap dancers. You know,
This ex-hoofer.
Obviously, in more recent years, this movie has been seen as a classic, and it has even been remade twice. Although I wouldn't say well.
We have not seen the 2021, but...
I'm not going to.
Yeah, no
I saw
thanks.
the other remake, and it was unnecessary.
I don't even remember it, but I know I saw it.
It's just not even as close to as good as the original.
Something that I meant to mention earlier, just speaking of how this movie was very groundbreaking, it's also the second slasher horror movie that introduces the final girl trope with
Oh, I
Jess
didn't know
at the
that.
end. The first one is considered Last House on the Left,
When did that come out?
like 2 years before.
Oh, okay.
But that's not technically a slasher. That's
No.
like a murder thriller.
Yeah,
I cannot watch that movie. It's disturbing.
it is.
But anyway, so this is kind of one of the first ones that brings out that final girl trope. So there are 7 equally unique and brutal deaths in this movie, all of them committed by our mystery killer Billy, except for Peter in the end, the piano douche who is murdered by Jess.
Go watch this movie right now. It's available on Shudder. Mm-hmm. If you like horror, get Shudder.
Yep.
They're not even paying us to say that. Just do it. Get it.
And also, if you have cable, it's pretty much playing every few hours on like multiple channels right now because 'tis the season.
'Tis the season to murder. Mm-hmm. Murder. Next week, we're ending 2020 with a bang?
I don't know.
I didn't write this one.
You have to read it like that.
We're talking about one of our favorite horror movies of all time.
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. This is the weird one that doesn't follow Michael Myers, and it has that very catchy tune.
The 3 more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 3 more days till Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
There we go. We got it. And this is written and directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who is also known for writing and directing the 90s miniseries TV adaptation of Stephen King's It.
I did not know that, actually.
And like I put, full weird circle because Olivia Hussey is also in that miniseries.
Weird. I didn't know. Mm-hmm. It's a classic. We know you love it, so make sure you listen to it.
Anyways, this is our last episode before
2020.
Christmas.
It's our last episode of 2021 coming up.
Oh, excuse my throat.
jeez.
No, it's not, though. Halloween 3 will be. This is the
No,
last
that's
one.
what I'm saying. Halloween 3 will be our last episode of 2020 until 2021. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was going to say we've been doing this for a year, but no, it's just the
Just since the pandemic started.
pandemic, yeah.
Yeah.
What a crazy year. All right. Halloween 3 jingle, play us out.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween.